Thank you, Representative Porter, for your patience, and you're recognized to explain your bill. I understand you have a strike-all.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Yes, would you like to explain the strike-all, please?
Well, if the chair pleases, I can give a brief explanation of the bill, and then I can point out the differences between the bill and the strike-all.
By all means, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. Well, with the advent of much electronic material currently being used in our education system today, needs to be some changes in order to bring the statutes up to date with the changing times. So this bill applies provisions of the textbook affordability law to instructional materials. It requires the Florida college system's institutions to post on their registrar's schedule of courses a list of required and recommended textbooks and instructional materials for each class 14 days prior to the first day of class registration. It clarifies information that must be posted for textbooks and other instructional materials that don't have an ISB number. It requires institutions to post new, used, and/or rental prices for textbooks and other instructional materials for each course, and the website or contact information for the bookstore. Requires each institution to annually report the average cost of textbooks and the adoption cycles for high enrollment courses. Requires the State Board of Education and Board of Governors to submit recommendations to the Governor, Senate President, and Speaker for negotiating statewide agreements with publishers and vendors of instructional content, both print and digital. Requires annually the Florida college system and state university system institutions to provide their textbook and other instructional material affordability policies and procedures, and requires the preeminent state research university for online learning to include the cost of instructional materials in their determination of tuition for the online degree program. And there are some differences, obviously, between the bill and the strike-all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. And you have outlined all of that in your presentation, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Are there questions of Representative Porter? You're recognized, Representative Zimmerman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there anything in this bill that requires that if a student purchases the textbook, that the instructor actually use that textbook in the class, especially if it was written by that instructor?
You're recognized.
There's a requirement that packages that are used or that are required to be purchased are actually used in the classroom. So yes, if there are additional materials that accompany that particular textbook, there has to be an assurance that those additional materials will be used by the class and by the student.
Follow-up? Or Representative Powell, you recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Porter, for bringing this great bill forward to us today. It's another way we continue to move education forward by making it more affordable. Question, with regard to the 3 years for textbooks before they can be revised, and I know there's implications where that can be changed. Is that for all textbooks, or how do history books fall into that? I know I was in school during 2001, and I know the next year we had a new history book to talk about.
You recognized.
Thank you,
Yes.
Madam Chair. It is required for undergraduate courses, the 3-year aspect of it, but there are mechanisms. In other words, the president or designee of an institution could make an exception if there were some substantial change that needed to be taught, and the textbook or the instructional curricula needed to be updated in order to reflect that.
Follow-up?
Just thank you for bringing this great bill forward.
Oh.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Additional questions on the strike-all? Yes, Ranking Member Ray Winkle-Vasalinda.
Thank you. What is the landscape now for this? Where are we now? Can you just explain a little bit of that?
You're recognized.
Right now, there isn't a whole lot in place. There's no timeline that the books have to be used for any length of time. There does not have to be any kind of an assurance that the materials that accompany the textbook have to be used during the course of the class. There is not necessarily much information out there about the cost of textbooks and materials that accompany a course. in a very timely manner so that the students know not only what they're paying as far as the cost of tuition goes, but as what will their additional costs be in regard to the educational materials that accompany the course.
Can I ask another?
Follow-up? Yes, you're recognized.
Have you heard anything from faculty about whether they're for or against this bill, just faculty around the state?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are a few concerns in regard to the 14-day provision prior to registration, because some of the colleges are wondering, you know, what do we do if we add a late course, and, you know, how can we be sure that we even know who the instructor is going to be, and therefore what requirements they're going to have as far as the educational materials. But we are working with those entities as we progress through the process to try and come to an understanding.
Okay. May I ask another?
Yes, you're recognized.
Has there been any assessment about how much this would cost or how much labor this would take as far as the colleges and universities being compliant with this new requirement?
Recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most of this is really already being done. It's more a matter of the time frame in which it's done.
Okay, one more.
Yes, you're recognized.
What are the penalties if the textbook cost is not put up 14 days ahead? You know, what is there a slap? Is there what is the deal?
No.
Do we know?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's no penalty at this point.
Okay, additional questions, members? Nope. Seeing none, I have two individuals that want to speak on the amendment. Ashley Spicola.
Governor's Office Ways and Support.
Okay, and Bob Boyd.
Yes, Madam Chair, we appreciate the representative meeting with the publishing industry on this bill, and we appreciate the strike-all amendment, and we would waive the support of the strike-all. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there a debate on the strike-all? Seeing none, Representative Porter, you're recognized to close on your strike-all.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the spirit and tone of today's meeting, I will waive my close.
Are there any objections on the strike-all? Someone else has an amendment? No, okay. Seeing no objections, show the strike-all adopted. Now we're back on the bill as amended. Are there any additional questions of Representative Porter on the bill as amended? None? Seeing none, I have one additional public comment. Tanya Cooper?
Waive and support.
Great. Tanya Cooper with Florida Department of Education, Ways and Support. Any debate on the bill as amended? Representative Saunders, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank Representative Porter for bringing this bill and your presentation, and for acknowledging something I was going to ask questions about, but it seems like you're already working on. The one hiccup that I saw in the bill was that issue about 14 days before, and I think the intent is great. I mean, obviously, we should be giving students who are registering for these classes an expectation on how much their textbooks are going to cost. But I know at UCF, which is my home district, they'll open up registration for a course that you can apply for, and they won't even have a faculty member chosen. So I would hate to like pigeonhole one of those courses with a textbook set that a teacher doesn't want to teach from. So I'd love to work with you on figuring that out if it's helpful, and I'm just glad you're looking at it. Thank you for the bill.
Any additional debate? Yes, Ranking Member Ray Winkle-Vasalinda.
Thank you. I'm going to vote for the bill, and I am also appreciative of the 14-day working on that issue, because I do think you need to allow the colleges and universities to have that kind of flexibility. The other thing is, I would like you to look a little bit more about whether this mandate, frankly, will add labor cost and more burden on the colleges and universities, just to see where that is. Okay.
Thank you. Representative Fresden, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just wanted to be brief, especially on that point, because I think it was a good question to bring up. And I think if you actually look at the issue of textbooks and kind of how they're adopted and cost and how they're purchased, you could probably logically surmise that if you take this structure that Representative Porter is putting here, there will probably be a net savings as an overall. I don't think it's going to add any cost to the college. And I think to the point on the 14-day thing, and it's just a suggestion, perhaps because it is true that there are times that a class is advertised, but perhaps the specifics of the teacher and other elements of the class are not. Perhaps the fix to that is that what needs to be posted is a maximum price of textbook, and allow the flexibility to be decided by the teacher once they come in. So just a suggestion, a debate, and strong support.
Any additional debate? Seeing none, Representative Porter, you're recognized to close.
Again, Madam Chair, I will waive close.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Representative Porter, having closed. Kaylee, please call the roll.
Chair Nunez.
Yes.
Representatives Bracy. Coley. Fitzenhagen. Fresen. Grant. Powell.
Yes.
Raywinkle Vasalinda. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Saunders. Spano. Zimmerman.
Yes.
By your vote, HB 355 is reported favorably as a committee substitute. Thank you, Representative Porter.